I'm Holly Keegan, founder of Academic Ascent. In my 20 plus years as an educator, I have been incredibly fortunate to learn from fellow educators, the families I work with, and the students I serve. Now I want to give back, so I've created these audio sessions as a way to share the best of what I've learned along the way. My hope is that it feels like a conversation and leaves you with something you can take away from each session to help your child manage student life just a little bit easier. After all, we're on this journey together. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited about today's audio session, not only because it's on a topic we work on every day at Academic Ascent, but also because I'm joined by Shara, who is one of our awesome tutors and executive function coaches. And in fact, that's what we will be filling your brains with today: information and strategies related to executive function. In reality, we receive lots of calls asking for support in this area. While executive function skills are something that everybody uses every day, the term and what it means is somewhat new for many families. So let's talk about what it means. I like to think of executive function skills as the control center of our brains. It includes our working memory, which is responsible for remembering, manipulating bits of info over short periods of time. It's our cognitive flexibility or flexible thinking. And that's our ability to sustain or shift our attention for different tasks or environments. And finally, it's self control or self awareness. And that is how we manage our emotions, set priorities, curb impulsiveness. Executive dysfunction is common in many people who learn and think differently. It's also worth noting that if your child struggles in this area, it may not be as simple as just executive dysfunction, but instead it could actually be a learning difference. Executive dysfunction could be explained as having everything you need for a task and the ability to do it, but you struggle to make it happen. I think it's helpful to consider how we as adults utilize these skills. So let's start with something fun. Let's consider going on vacation. You have to schedule it on your calendar. You have to figure out where you're going, determine how much it'll cost, how you're going to get there and home. Maybe you need to rent a car, book a hotel or an Airbnb, plan time off. If you didn't do all of these things, your vacations wouldn't go very smoothly. And in our work lives, we're tasked with responsibilities that require us to prioritize, plan, and follow through. So think of the last project you had for work, or even just like a typical day at work. There's lots of skills at play here. Estimating the time needed to complete a task or project, prioritizing those steps, managing your time while you're on task, working through interruptions, avoiding social media and news alerts. You have to exercise mental flexibility if things aren't coming together as planned. And then, of course, you've got to finish your work on time. So your kids are going through similar experiences at school. Shara, tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So, as Holly explained, executive functioning skills are a separate skill set that we all have a different level of proficiency with. As adults, we have some flexibility to accommodate any deficits in this area, like only scheduling important meetings in the mornings, only taking on one big project at a time, or delegating tasks as needed. For the most part, kids and teens don't have this flexibility when it comes to school stuff. So they're more likely to need some outside support to help them manage. But what does it look like when a kid or teen is struggling with executive dysfunction and not some other academic struggle? Homework is a good place to take a look. Your kid gets a homework assignment and they have all the academic knowledge they need to complete the assignment. Let's say the assignment is a set of geometry problems they know how to do. They know the formulas, they understand them, they can solve the problem. But somewhere between getting the assignment and turning it in, something is falling through. Maybe they're not writing down the assignment. They can't get started unless someone is sitting with them. Again, not because they need help with the content, but because they just can't get started. Maybe they start but don't finish, or finish but don't turn it in. This is what executive dysfunction looks like. It is not laziness or a lack of motivation. The skills needed to plan, start, and see a task through are totally different than the skills needed to find the area of a triangle. Just like academic skills, executive function skills can be learned and practiced. Neurotypical kids may need some help with executive functioning basics, like how to keep up with a calendar and get materials organized. Neurodivergent students, like those with ADHD or autism, often need more personalized help to find specific strategies that work for their brains, which is what I specialize in. Academic Ascent offers our Essentials program for kids and teens who need to build up their basic executive functioning skills. And I work one on one with students to develop and practice specific strategies geared towards their individual needs. This means my work looks different with each student. We may play games to improve skills in time management, self monitoring, or focus. We will almost definitely make lists of each executive functioning task they find the trickiest and come up with strategies for each item on the list. I often have teenagers figure out ways to manage their workload by modeling different types of schedules and to do lists and teaching them how to prioritize tasks in a way that works for them. All of my work with executive functioning also incorporates a big focus on self regulation skills and strategies. This is because struggling with executive dysfunction can sometimes lead to students experiencing frustration or even shame. It can increase tension between child and parents or child and school. Shame, frustration, anxiety, these things dysregulate the nervous system, and that dysregulation makes it even more difficult to learn or access good executive functioning skills. One way I address this possible dysregulation is showing up as a non judgmental support for all the students I work with. Beyond that, I often teach things like positive self talk, breath work, and reflection strategies that can help improve access to calm, regulated productivity. We provide really great comprehensive executive functioning support at Academic Ascent, but there are also strategies you can easily incorporate at home.
That's true. So here's a couple that you can easily implement in your household. So timers are a great and easy tool to use. It's easy enough to use a phone for this, but we'd strongly encourage more of like a visual timer of sorts because the pull of a cell phone can often be too great, especially for our teens. So something like a digital timer, an hourglass type, one of those Pomodoro timers, all of those could be great. They're helpful in building awareness for how long a task actually takes. They can create structure for sustained attention, and they're great to set up some planned breaks for movement or even some mental chill time. And then another easy go to are lists. Like timers, super simple, but the benefits are plentiful. You can make a list just like a quick bullet point on a post it or a whiteboard to list out homework assignments. Or it can be a list that helps to prioritize the steps in a project. Shara likes to take even a more detailed approach. She writes out her steps, what order they'll be completed, and about how long each item will take. The key here is to experiment and see what's most beneficial. It's trial and error sometimes. They're a nice way to build independence, but they also help work on accountability. So, whether you try either of these or both of them with your child, it's important to build in some time for reflection. You want to consider these or really any new strategy that you try to be like an experiment. How is it going? What's working? What doesn't work? What tweaks need to be made? We all have a tendency to give in when something doesn't work right away, but it could also just be a matter of simply making a small adjustment. Thanks for listening, everyone. Happy learning. Hey, everyone. If you like our content, please click subscribe, and we'd be so grateful if you shared this with others.